What in the world is happening? A show about Maitreya, the world teacher, and the masters of wisdom. We broadcast live every second and fourth Saturday of the month on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, and of course, Zoom. And today we're going to talk about a simple and very powerful way that you can help the world called transmission meditation. It's a great meditation. It's non-denominational. Anyone over the age of 12 can do it. Very simple to do. So we're going to talk about what it is, how it started, how you can be involved. And at the end of the show, we'll do a live transmission meditation. So if you're interested, please feel free to stick around and join us in that meditation and experience it for yourself. If you have any questions during the show, please don't hesitate to submit the questions. We have John and Silito doing tech support. They'll help forward the questions or answer them. You can chat or comment as well. And we'll get right into it. My name is Tim Boutskis. I'm broadcasting from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And with me today is Sabina Qureshi, also from Edmonton. Hi, Sabina.
Hi, Tim. Nice to be here.
And welcome, everyone. So shall we get right into it, transmission meditation?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll probably look at a little bit of background information leading into the transmission meditation. And of course, we'll talk about transmission meditation is a way of transmitting very powerful energies during this time. We are in a time of transition, a time of great change, and I'm sure just about everybody can sense it, have seen it. It's pretty tense out there. There's a lot of change on all fronts. And so we'd like to give you a little bit of background as to perhaps why that is, according to many of the Ageless wisdom teachings, many of the information out there that we are familiar with that we'd like to share with you. One of the major reasons for this transition is change of great ages. So our whole solar system is in motion. And this is not just an astrological thing, it's an astronomical thing. The solar system moves and it moves into alignment with different constellations of the zodiac. And this process to go through the whole system, the whole zodiac, takes about 26,000 years. So every few thousand years, our solar system comes into alignment with a different constellation. And if we boil everything down to energy, each constellation transmits different types and qualities of energy, great powerful energies that flood through the whole solar system, and of course, including our planet and humanity. And so we're just coming out of the age of Pisces. So for the last few thousand years, we've been reveling in the energies of Pisces and all that it has to offer. And we are now stepping into the energies of Aquarius, which are quite different. And so if you look at our world, we've built all of our political, economic, social systems, the way we relate to each other, we've built that under the impetus of the Piscean energy, which promotes the individual. It allowed us to individualize, to move out of a herd mentality into strong individuals with qualities to offer. But on the flip side, it also brought us into heavy competition. It brought in a lot of energies of greed and supporting one individual as opposed to for the benefit of a few individuals instead of the larger groups. Whereas Aquarius, the energies of Aquarius are about cooperation. They're about a group energy. So bringing forward energies that benefit the larger picture, all of humanity. And so we're seeing a great change at this time. And this is why all of our structures are under great strain and are crying out for change.
Tim, I'd like to just mention that you talked about individuality as something that the energies of Pisces stimulated in us, but also idealism and devotion to an ideal. These were very important in terms of humanity formulating ideals, something to aspire to. And so we've had ideals now that we've been aspiring to or believing in, if you want to call it that, brotherhood, equality, freedom, but we haven't been able to make them real on the ground. They've remained at the level of ideals. And so, exactly. Yeah, so that's really the big change, is that the energies of Aquarius stimulate us to make these real, to not just hold them as ideals, but to bring them down to the ground.
Yes, I think we can see that in the world now where people are really, they've got these ideals, they've got that's been formulated, as you say, and now let's make it happen. Let's establish right human relations. Let's talk about human rights and make it real. Let's talk about racism, systemic racism. Let's get this sorted out on the physical plane. And that's with the help of the Aquarian energies coming in.
Now, we do have a question already, but we'll get to it a bit later on when we're talking about the meditation. Billy Shevchuk has just asked us, are meditations longer than 1 hour useful? I would say definitely yes, as long as you can continue is useful. But we will definitely talk about that a little bit more in detail as we get into the technique of the meditation and how it actually works.
Absolutely. Great question. So we're just doing a little bit of background. Of course, we're talking about the changes ages. We've talked about changing energies coming in, and this will all tie into transmission meditation as well, because it taps into these energies and helps to transmit them. And this is where it helps the world. This is where it becomes a service to the world as well. So a little bit of background. We have here a slide about the Ageless Wisdom teachings. So some of the information we're talking about today has stemmed from the Ageless Wisdom teachings, which have always been around, largely esoteric or largely hidden in the history of humanity, but available to individuals or groups who are ready to put them into use. But now, as humanity is evolving, as consciousness is evolving, and we're at this great time of transition, these teachings are now available to anybody who would like to use them and put them to use worldwide, and largely due to these people here on the screen who have written many, many books about the Ageless Wisdom teachings and what the teachings are. We have Helena Blavatsky, Alice Bailey, Helena Roerich, and most recently Benjamin Creme. And we'll be talking largely about Benjamin Creme today. We have a few videos of him talking about transmission meditation. Of course, he brought transmission meditation, or introduced it to the world as well.
And just to comment that what we call the Ageless Wisdom teachings are a body of teachings which really underpin all the great religions of the world, all the major spiritual teachings of the world. And so they're universal. They belong to all humanity, and they are, in a way, they're like the fundamentals of how things work, if you want to put it like that. We now recognize, for example, in the scientific arena, we talk about gravity, we talk about energy, different types of forces. Well, the interesting thing is that the Ageless Wisdom teachings also talk about energy and different types of forces, because in fact, they talk about the constitution of our world, of the universe, and of ourselves, who we are, what we are. And so this is something that if you look at religions, they also address, but each in their own way, and very often in terms that are, well, or that were maybe called on during the time in which that religion first took root. So you'll have metaphors or images, ways of talking about this that are based on a time and a place when that religion first arose. The difference between the major religions and the Ageless Wisdom teachings is really in the presentation. So the Ageless Wisdom teachings give you the same information, but perhaps you could say in a more scientific way. And in many ways, in a much more modern kind of format. And now humanity is ready to understand these things on that level. And so that's why slowly the teachings have been made available to us, specifically in the West as well. And so it's an exciting thing to realize, oh, this is something that's been known all along, but we perhaps weren't ready to really address it or to understand it in these terms.
It is great, and wonderful resources to check into. And also, yeah, in the science realm, as you were saying, if you were looking into dark matter or dark energy and the behavior of it, it's very similar to what is written about some of these energies in a book, let's say by Blavatsky. It's very interesting to see all the similarities. So it's very relevant right now, and of course, some of the writings of Benjamin Creme on the Ageless Wisdom are very relevant to this time. There's a lot of talk about the time of changing here from Pisces to Aquarius and what that means. and also about the Masters of Wisdom, who we'll talk about in a minute as well, and how we are on this evolutionary journey, and a lot of the details of that, very relevant to this time. And so Benjamin Creme was, he introduced transmission meditation. He brought it to the world. He went, toured around the world, excuse me, for over 40 years, never making a penny, all volunteer, talking about the Masters of Wisdom, talking about Maitreya, the world teacher, and how they're in the world at this time, talking about this great change that we're talking about right now. And he's put together some great books as well that you can access, and we have some free downloads. We'll give you the link to that as well. And he was a great artist as well.
So he was a disciple of one of the Masters of Wisdom, and he was in constant telepathic rapport with his master.
And from that, he was able to bring forward a lot of information through these books. And of course, was approached by a Master of Wisdom to start transmission meditation. He was asked to invite, he was given a list of 14 people in 1974 to come to his place and talk about transmission meditation, talk about Maitreya being in the world, and to do a sample meditation. And they did a very short meditation. 12 people decided to stick with it out of the 14. And that was where the first transmission group started. And from then it grew into many, many groups around the world.
So let's watch a video. I think we've got an excerpt here of Benjamin Creme talking about transmission meditation.
Okay, here we go.
I'd like to ask you something about transmission meditation. First of all, what is it?
It's a form of meditation which is at the same time a field of service. Millions of people around the world today are coming into a closer alignment with their own souls, and this immediately makes them want to serve. And people may not know how to serve. They may not have a field, you know, they're looking simply, kind of finding some kind of way which they could be more useful to the world. If they serve, fine, but they don't always find that way. Transmission meditation is a method where you can work directly with the masters of the spiritual hierarchy under the Christ, and take a part in this great return to the world of these men.
By way of...
So what's interesting here is the idea of service and the desire to be of service. This is an extremely important thing, a very important point relating to transmission meditation and relating to our information in general, because part of the teaching in the Ageless Wisdom is that all life is divine and all people are divine, that we are all souls in incarnation, and that as such, the soul has no other purpose than to serve, to be of service. And so, although we are souls, we may not experience that impulse or those qualities initially in our earlier incarnations. We incarnate many times, repeatedly, because the evolutionary process of consciousness that we're engaged in is a really long game. It's not something that you can do in one lifetime. It's just not possible. And so repeatedly, we come into incarnation, we live, we learn, we grow, we leave, then we come back, and we do this constantly, hundreds of thousands of times. And as we're aware of, the religions of the East, for example, Hinduism, Buddhism, they know about reincarnation. It forms part of their teaching. We also know that reincarnation did form part of the Christian teaching until an early time after the life of Jesus Christ, and that it was suppressed later by the Emperor Justinius. So this is something about incarnation which we take to be a fundamental fact, that we live many, many, many times, and that in the process of incarnating and growing, we become more and more able to express the energies and the qualities of the soul. And since the soul's fundamental purpose is to serve, at a certain point, that desire to serve becomes something very real to us. We experience it as an urge, as an impulse, as a drive, which we must respond to. And so that's really what Benjamin Creme is talking about, how that moment comes. And so this meditation is an extremely potent way to be of service. And yet, as he also has said in other places, in other talks, he talked about it's a very practical way to serve because you can do it simply by sitting in a chair. So it's also really great for lazy people, to put it like that.
Well, and as you said, also evolution-wise, everything is on an evolutionary journey. So we can talk about the mineral kingdom. There's the vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom. They're all evolving. So minerals evolve into vegetable, vegetable into animal, animal into human, and then human kingdom evolve into what's called the spiritual kingdom. And so in that interview, he mentions the Masters of Wisdom. And the Masters of Wisdom belong to the spiritual kingdom. They have evolved. So they've been through the human experience, all the ups and downs, and have mastered themselves. Not so much masters over anybody else. That isn't what the name means. But they've mastered themselves. They've demonstrated perfect love, perfect wisdom on their evolutionary journey, and have reached and attained that level and have joined this, what's called the spiritual hierarchy. And that doesn't end then. They are perfected men and women, but they continue on an evolutionary journey beyond that. So everything in the cosmos is evolving, and it continues
And when you
on.
say perfected men and women, that would be in terms of Earth's evolution, or what you can evolve to on Earth, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And
So
many
they are
of them,
us, in fact, right? They're us, but further ahead.
exactly. And that's the future for all of us. As we perfect ourselves, as we master ourselves, we in turn become masters as well. And what's great about the Masters of Wisdom is many of them have chosen to continue to help the human family and guide the human family without telling them what to do, without impinging on free will. But they've always been here working behind the scenes, guiding humanity, guiding those who are receptive to their energies. And what's even more exciting is during this great time of change, they are now coming back into the world on the physical plane, which is for the first time in 98,000 years.
So they've been living in their bodies of light in places far removed from our lives, up in the high mountains, in the desert. But they've always been here, and they've always been helping from behind the scenes. So the change is really that they're, as you say, they're going to live with us on the physical plane, work with us. However, they cannot do anything for us, in the sense that it's our work to take care of our planet, to take care of each other. These are our responsibilities. So the Masters of Wisdom are here to help us and guide us, but they, as you said, they can't infringe our free will. That's an absolutely sacred law or rule in reality. None of us should be infringing on each other's free will. We do, however, without being aware of it most of the time. However, so they're here to guide and help us, and it's a great support, and we need that support, but we have to do the work ourselves.
Right. We've created there's a lot of it's messy out there, and we've got a lot of work to do, but it's great. And it's very hopeful right now because they're here to help us. We know that these energies are streaming in, working towards more cooperative existence. And we know that the Masters of Wisdom are in the world, and they're helping us as well. And so there's great opportunity as well to create a new civilization. And they know the plan. So the Masters know the plan of evolution for the planet. They are also direct the energies that come streaming in. So they help to direct these energies, the types of energies, the qualities of energies. And through transmission meditation, of course, we get to work directly with them. They transmit the energies through us, and we step them down in the process of this meditation to help the planet. And we'll get a bit more into that when we get into the ins and outs of transmission meditation.
So Tim, this plan of evolution, it makes it sound as though it's not like a 5-year plan, or like a business plan.
Right. It's a creative plan. So we get to play a part. Everybody has a part, and no one's too small or insignificant. Everyone plays a part in the plan. But the awareness of the plan. We're all a part of the plan. We create it. It's like a tapestry that we weave. The Masters, of course, are aware of a larger part of the plan, so they can see the larger aspects of it as well, and the energies involved. And so they take parts that they resonate with and work out. So just like we'd be like, well, I feel like creating in this direction, and you sense and intuit that part of the plan.
So in a way, it's an evolving thing. It's constantly growing, right?
Yeah. I'm sure it has its surprises. And of course, we should talk about Maitreya. He's the world teacher. He's head of the spiritual hierarchy. So he's also master of wisdom, of course. He's his position, he's a more evolved, higher level of evolution or consciousness in the group of masters of wisdom. So he takes the head of the spiritual hierarchy. He embodies love for the planet. So he's a planetary avatar. And as we were saying earlier, they're on the physical plane, they're in the world. Maitreya is in the world as well, to inaugurate this age of Aquarius. He is the expected one for all the world's major religions. He will be with us for the next 2,250 years or so. So he'll remain with us, guiding humanity. And of course, it's all based on free will. So he awaits our invitation via world's media to begin his open mission. So the more we implement his ideas and priorities, the more open we are to his help, the closer he gets, is my understanding. And he comes with a set of priorities. Right. These are them. Food and clean water for all. These are very simple in some ways, very necessary. Food, clean water, safe housing, shelter, healthcare, education, repair of the environment. So we're all well aware that these should be a priority. There's a suggestion as to how to attain these priorities, would be through the process of sharing.
It's a very basic idea and something that every child understands, that sharing is fair. It's not always easy to do, but really the idea is so simple and so easy, not just to understand, but to implement. Really the only thing that stands in the way is greed and separativeness, the feeling of being separate, of not seeing ourselves in each other. And so when we talk about right human relationships, this is really what we're talking about, is to see each other as ourselves. The golden rule, which we see in all the world's religions, is another way of saying the same thing. So do not do to someone else what you would not wish them to do to you, or do to others as you would wish them to do to you. So it's almost hard to believe that we haven't been able to do this yet, because surely with our abilities, we can take a rocket to the moon. We have such sophisticated technology now, but we can't share. We're still stuck there. So this is one of the biggest reasons why we need the help of the Masters of Wisdom, is that something so fundamental and so basic still apparently is beyond us. So we do need a push. We need something to help us.
So, and when they're talking about sharing, I mean, one of the suggested ideas is sharing as a global process where, for example, all the nations share their excess resources so that other nations can meet their needs. So you would, the suggestion is to take those excess, put them in a central area, reallocate them. It would be under sort of kind of a world barter system, if you will, in order to share the resources. So if we share these resources, if we sort of bring that step forward, it makes huge change. I mean, imagine the feeling of knowing that everyone's eating today in the world, that everybody has shelter. It also gives us the opportunity to work towards betterment, towards right human relationships, if you have a full belly and you're sheltered, you know, you can work towards some of these better relationships with each other. So it brings that human family closer and together.
Well, and something as fundamental as knowing that there is hope for your children, that
Yeah.
there is scope for them, that will change everybody's relationship with each other. A lot of what we see as the problems in the world right now are caused by the fact that there are huge portions of humanity who have absolutely no hope. They struggle just to survive from one day to the next. How can you possibly have any sense of being connected to each other in that condition? Because all you see is that there's no hope for you, while others have and you don't. And Maitreya has said this, that as long as we don't implement sharing, then we're actually allowing these crimes, you know, they're crimes against humanity, people starving to death. We're allowing that to persist. And from Maitreya's Mission, Volume 1, we got this quote on the screen here, that our systems are based on the wrong principles. They're based on greed, on competition. What you were mentioning that earlier, Tim.
Yeah, all in direct opposition to the inner reality.
Right, and
So
the
no
inner
wonder.
reality is that we are all connected. Inwardly, we're connected to each other. We are one, we're one family. We don't experience that and we don't behave as that, but that is in fact the reality. That's what the Ageless Wisdom teachings tell us. All the great religions tell us that as well. So really, there's no reason not to start acting like it.
Yeah, so we need to build new systems that based on right principles, based on sharing.
So transmission meditation comes in play here because it's a way for people to help hasten these changes, to help bring them about. Because one of the primary ways in which we grow and change is as a response to the stimulation of energies that enter our systems. So energy stimulates us, and there are many types of energies that can do that. So we'd like to play a little bit more now of Benjamin Creme talking about what the purpose of meditation is.
Okay, I'll cue it up right here.
People out there, I'm sure, know about meditation of various forms. For the past 20 or 30 years, there's been a big boom in meditation of all varieties in the West. What is the purpose of meditation in general, if we look at all the different forms?
The basic purpose of meditation is to allow the person, man or woman, to come into contact with and eventually at one with their own soul. Mm-hmm. And there are hundreds of meditations, as you know. There are more or less scientific ways of doing this. And as you come into contact with your soul, the immediate response of the personality is to find some form of service to the world, because the nature of the soul is to serve. That's why it comes into incarnation at all. And so as soon as you're touched by the energy of the soul, you want to serve. Meditation, therefore, is the age-old way, the royal road to this kind of alignment with the soul.
So the alignment with the soul, we've talked about that already. And we'd like to now show you a picture of the 7 chakras. These are energy centers in our body, vortices, actually, where there's a vortice. It's like a whirlpool, if you want to put it like that. And it's where our physical body connects to the energy body. And the chakras are extremely important for our overall health. That's where we receive energy, is through the chakras. And on this chart, we're showing how they're connected to the different glands in the body. Sorry, Tim, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, there's a sea of energy out there, and in the etheric is we know our solid liquid gas from science class. Etheric would be another higher vibration, ether, which is not plainly visible, but is there. And there's streams of etheric energy crisscrossing all over, and they form these vortices. So these chakras that we have, these vortices, bring this etheric energy through them, in and out. In transmission meditation, of course, the energy is transmitted through the chakras, mainly the crown, ajna, throat, and heart, the first four there. Those chakras are highly used during the meditation. And during the meditation, we keep the focus at the ajna center. So number 2 there, which is between the eyebrows and tied to the pituitary gland. So all of these glands are stimulated by these energy centers. It's fascinating. In fact, in the cosmos, the planet itself is a chakra of a larger being as well. So there are these chakra vortices all throughout the cosmos at different levels, and many minor chakras as well.
Yeah, I like that idea, that our body is also made up of many bodies, and we also are part of a much larger body, the Earth, the solar system. It's a wonderful way to keep seeing how life is just existing on so many different levels.
Yeah, part of a very large picture.
Yeah. So, and we want to now play another little bit of Benjamin Creme, talking about the different types of energies that flow through a group or a person doing transmission meditation.
When the masters, you say they send energies through the force centers of the individuals, what kinds of energies are these? Are they from the masters themselves, from a plane or a group? What exactly are they?
Some of them are cosmic. They come from all sorts of cosmic levels. They are stepped down by the Christ, the Lord Maitreya. They go from him to certain masters who step them down further, and then they go to the transmission groups around the world. These are energies of love, equilibrium, organization, power, dynamic power, which will galvanize humanity out of its sloth, its inertia, and so on.
So lots of energies at play.
Well, and I like the part about galvanizing us. And I think that's really the major experience that people have who do transmission meditation, is a feeling of being galvanized, of being quickened. Of course, you may also experience healing. You'll experience many things. Now, this is an artist's impression of energy entering a person who's meditating, and you can see that the little star kind of above their head, that would represent the soul itself. Energy is coming through your soul. And then you can see kind of the bulges there in that line. So one of them is up here in the forehead. That would be like the ajna center. And the one at the throat, that would be the throat chakra.
What have we got here? Oh, yes. So all of these energies, first of all, transmission meditation is a very safe meditation. The energies are directed by the masters of wisdom. So the energies that come in, they direct them. They can look at our chakra system, just like we saw in that artist's interpretation. They can look into the chakra system and know exactly how much energy to transmit through each individual based on their own chakra system. So it's always safe. You can't overdo that. So it's the masters of wisdom are master scientists, so they know all of these types and combinations very well. You were saying about healing. Sometimes people do have healings during transmission meditation. Healing energies are one of the energies, but what's different about transmission meditation is there's also the cosmic energies, solar energies, a mix of different energies. So it goes beyond just the healing energies.
And just one thing to mention, sorry, Tim, I just want to cut in for a moment, the very first line there, 3 or more. So that the minimum number of people to do transmission is 3 people. Transmission is based on the science of triangles. So you do need 3 people in order to do this meditation. These days, people are doing it using Zoom because of the pandemic, because of not being able to go and meet physically with each other. Though in some places, some groups are starting to meet physically again. The ideal, of course, would be if you live together and you can meditate together. But yeah, so just that's very important. 3 is the minimum number.
And because of that, it's a big advantage. It's a very powerful meditation, simple to do, but because you're working with the group energy, there's sort of a exponential factor to it, so that there's more energy at play. You can, as far as in terms of personal growth, a year of solid transmission meditation can equal 5, 10, 15, 20 years of any other meditation, because you're working with a group, because you're working directly with the Masters of Wisdom, and because it's a form of service as well. So those make them not only very relevant to this time, but also that's why it's a very powerful mode of meditation. It combines the karma yoga, the yoga of service, with the Laya yoga, which is the yoga of the chakras. And the chakras are used to step down the energies. So these are very powerful energies that are bathing the planet, but without them being stepped down, for the most people, it just bounces off your back. So it doesn't get absorbed as effectively as if it was stepped down. So you can imagine like a electrical transformer. So high voltage energy, you can't really use that energy until it's stepped down to some usable level, like an outlet that you can plug into, or a battery. So it's the same energy, but stepped down. So that's the service aspect of transmission meditation. By sitting in meditation, those great powerful energies are stepped down through the chakras and distributed so that everyone can benefit from them, and thus bringing in change and growth and all the beautiful Aquarian energies into the planet.
And the masters direct those energies where they're needed. So that means that when you're sitting in meditation, if you just click on the slide, Tim, so we get the next phrases that are on there. So you're sitting and the energies are flowing through your chakras, but you don't send them anywhere. That's something the masters do, because they know where the energies are needed. Sometimes, in fact, what's needed, excuse me, is to pull energy out of a place or a situation. So they know where the energies are needed, which ones, in what quantity. So they're the ones who direct them. We simply offer ourselves as a channel for the energies to flow through so that they can be stepped down, as Tim was saying.
Right. And again, it is safe, scientific, and everything transmits in the cosmos. So it'll be around for a long time.
Well, and yeah, and each kingdom nourishes the one below it. So energetically speaking, in transmission, we are receiving energy from the spiritual kingdom, but we also transmit energy. As you're saying, everything transmits energy. So we transmit energy to the kingdoms below us. For example, the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom transmits energy to the vegetable kingdom, or the plant kingdom, and the plant to the mineral. So it's all connected. We're all nourishing each other, actually.
Yeah. And here you can see how it works through the science of triangles. We were talking about the group meditation, that you need 3 meditators to create a triangle of energy. But you can see as you increase numbers that the exponential factor of triangles increases. So there's a formula here on how that's calculated for those that are interested. But as you can see, 6 meditators would be 20 triangles. So it becomes a hothouse of energy. More and more triangles get created. And of course, worldwide, with all the transmission groups, there's a network of light that's forming, so that you have this network around the globe. And you can see here 3 people meditating, what it might look like when they're doing transmission meditation. And then, of course, if you have more people, how that works with the triangles.
So with 5 people, I think you have 10 triangles, right?
I think so, yes. Yeah. So quite a few triangles just from 2 more people into the mix.
Well, and what's interesting is to think of when one person leaves, how many triangles they take with them when they leave, right?
True. Yeah. You'll want to stay for the whole thing.
That's right.
But of course, it's open. There's never a charge for transmission meditation too. It's always free.
And
so
you're absolutely free to come and go as you wish.
As you wish, yeah. So we have one more video to show.
And this here, Ben talks a little bit about how we evolve the process of evolution.
It is the spiritual kingdom, and we evolve through the downflow of the energy, spiritual energy, from hierarchy, and so the human kingdom evolves. From the human kingdom, these energies are passed down to the animal kingdom, from the animal to the vegetable, from the vegetable to the mineral kingdom. So in this process, all of these kingdoms are evolving in response to the spiritual, because that's what it is, impact of these energies from above.
Yeah, it's wonderful to just think about that, how we're all involved in this great motion of evolution and of energy. And you were talking about the triangles or the groups across the globe forming a network. This is the artist's representation of what that might look like at the level of the energy.
Yeah, that's a grid of light. There it is, surrounding the Earth. So that continues to grow and be tapped into. And so there are reservoirs of energy that can be used as well. So as the masters, as Sabina said, the masters direct all of that. We don't have to say, oh, I've got to send it to there because I feel like it should go there. Masters know exactly what to send and where, but they build up pools of energy too, so that can be used, towards various things for the growth of humanity. Through sharing. And I'm sure some of that energy is used and can be felt when people do demand the betterment of conditions for their brothers and sisters, when they work towards oneness or better right human relationships. That energy comes into play. So it's another way that you're helping by transmitting the energy to make it available for those who are working towards the betterment of humanity. It's nourishing them as well, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. This quote is something that we love to share simply because it's so simple and so straightforward that in order to have a future, we have to have peace. And you won't have a real peace until you have real justice. And we're seeing signs, no justice, no peace, right? In marches and demonstrations around the world these days.
Yeah.
And you can't have a proper justice until you share.
Yeah.
So it's very, very basic.
Yeah.
We'd like to share our resources, where we get our information. John has been putting links in the chat for you, but this is just to repeat that. Share-international.org. Also on YouTube, the Share International channel. You'll find all the videos of Benjamin Creme there. And you can buy books, and there are some free downloads as well available at share-ecart.com.
And you can see here that there are some free book downloads. One of them is Transmission and Meditation for the New Age. So if you've enjoyed this and you are transmitting with us and would like to know more, this is another resource you can download to read up on. Also, some other great books on the World Teacher for All Humanity, The Awakening of Humanity, and the Ageless Wisdom Teaching. So all great resources that you could look into on the share-ecart.com.
And we highly recommend that you, if you're interested, do take a look at these free downloads. For example, the first one on the left that we just saw there, the Ageless Wisdom Teachings, that really kind of encapsulates what we've been talking about in a very overall way. So, but all of these books are great.
And there is a magazine too, if you're interested. There's no advertising. It's got great articles. It's in half a dozen languages. You can get the information on share-ecart.com as well. Great stories of new innovation. There's always a message from the master, miracles around the world, changes in humanity. It's a very positive magazine. So it's a great read. Covers a lot of interesting subjects.
Yeah, and it combines the perspective from the Ageless Wisdom Teachings with current events so that you can see how things are unfolding in the world, as Tim was saying, positive changes, and how that relates to these teachings and to the presence of the masters.
Yeah, it's a great magazine. So I guess we should talk about how to do transmission meditation.
Right.
As we'd like to do a meditation, we'll do one for about a half hour. The basic process, as we were saying, it's very simple to do. You just sit comfortably in a chair with the spine straight, relaxed. You keep your focus on the ajna center, which is between the eyebrows. And so during the whole meditation, that's where you'd like to be, is focused with your attention between the eyebrows at the ajna center. During time, if your mind wanders, you'll find that your attention or your focus will go down away from the ajna center, maybe down to the solar plexus. And once you notice that, just think the word Om, and your attention will come back up between the eyebrows to the ajna center. So during the meditation, you'll find many times you'll be attention drop, you think Om, bring it back up, refocus, continue the meditation. You can think, you don't have to fight your thoughts. The mind will continue to think, but you'll find it'll slow down a bit during the meditation as you get more into it. And you'll feel the energies come through. Some people don't, and it's okay if you don't. You're still doing the transmission. It just depends on the types of energies that are flowing and on your own particular energy system. Some are very sensitive, some are less sensitive. Not to worry. You're still transmitting.
And Tim, what you were saying about thoughts, one sort of trick is if you'll notice your mind thinking, just observe it. That is, you don't have to jump into the thought, just let the thought go by. An image I like to use is the idea of being at a train station and watching trains come and go. Those are the thoughts. They arrive and then they go. But you don't jump. Excuse me. You don't jump on the
Jump
train.
on the train.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's great. That's a great one. A little bit about transmission meditation too. As Samina said earlier, that during the pandemic times, groups are meeting on Zoom, and we'll have put some links for you. If you like the meditation, would like to do it again, you can certainly Zoom in and participate. Just a few warnings: not to do this meditation if you have a pacemaker or serious heart problems. These are powerful energies. Or if you have any emotional or psychological imbalances, chronic, and you need to be over the age of 12, just because the chakra system is not quite developed enough until you're older than 12 for most people. So
Right.
those are the recommendations.
And just one comment, we haven't yet said, how do you start the meditation? So that's what we're going to get to next. Because we sit down and we say this mantra, the great invocation. We say it out loud all together. That's really the starting button, if you will, for the meditation. That's how we let the masters know that we're ready. It is an invocation. It's calling forth light, love, and power. And so that's how you begin. It's so simple. It's just incredible that it could be that simple. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. And Tim, if you just go back to the previous slide, yes, what do you need to believe in? Nothing. In other words, it's not based on a belief system. So whether you believe any of what we've said today or not, we invite you to try it. Just actually do it. Say the great invocation when we say it, and then sit and put your attention here on the Ajna Center, as Tim's been describing, and see what happens. That's the best way to find out. And another thing just to mention briefly is that Benjamin Creme, every time he gave a public talk, he always began the talk by saying that he didn't want people to believe what he was saying. He wanted people to question and to use their ability to discriminate, that is to have points of view and questions about what he was saying. So that's part of how we approach this as well. We're telling you what we think is true, but we want you to investigate and find out for yourself what you think is true.
Absolutely. So now we'll do a transmission meditation for about a half hour. So again, you just sit comfortably in a chair, have your attention on the Ajna Center. When your attention drops, think the word Om. You just have to think about it. You don't have to say it. And you don't have to focus on the Om, just think Om, and your attention comes back up. And that's the gist of it.
And you know what's amazing, Tim, is that we're actually ahead of time. Usually we're just coming up to the hour when we start the meditation. But we're almost ready to start right now. I'd just like to briefly mention about the Zoom groups, the different groups where you can connect and do this meditation with others. John has just put the links into the chat. So if anyone's interested, they're all there. And just what I want to mention is that before the pandemic, when we used to meet in person to do this meditation, one of the instructions that Benjamin Creme gave when he talked about it was that if you couldn't go to meet your group to meditate on any particular day, you could, from home, you could sit down and visualize your group and connect to them that way, mentally, and participate in the meditation in that way. It was never considered as a powerful or as strong a way to do it as if you met in person, but it was still something that was there. And what we found with doing it on Zoom is that we are able to experience these energies. It feels as though we're experiencing them as strongly as if we were meeting in person. And that's been, I find it a really interesting evolution. I don't know if the masters are helping somehow to make that work, but these Zoom groups are really flourishing. You know, there are more of them all the time. So I invite you, if you're interested in this meditation, if after doing it with us today you like it, either form your form your own group with people you know locally who can meet in person, or join one of the Zoom groups, because it really works.
Yeah, it's a great thing to participate in, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, you can form your own. It's great to try it out, and yeah, feel free to form your own group.
And also, I know that John has put that in the chat, that the Great Invocation has been translated into many languages. There are groups around the world, as you were saying, Tim. So, you know, if English isn't your language, you can do this in any language. That's not a hindrance of any type.
So I guess, shall we start?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, there are also, just another comment about the Great Invocation, simply saying the Great Invocation on a regular basis, whether or not you're doing it as part of transmission meditation, will have a very beneficial effect as well on you and on the world around you. So it's a powerful mantra, a beautiful mantra.
It is.
You want to say it, Tim?
Sure, I can say it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I'll mute out, but I'll say it along with you, and we invite everybody to join in. Oh, and wait, there was a question earlier that Billy Sepchak had about vegetarianism and animal rights. He was asking whether these would become accepted fully in the future. I believe so. That's my understanding. I believe that, well, Benjamin Creme has always said that a vegetarian diet is the best in terms of making it possible for spiritual energies to move through your system unimpeded. And it's not because animals are bad. It's simply that they are functioning at a lower vibration. And so if you eat their bodies, if you eat meat, you're really putting into your system something that will hinder the free flow of these energies to the same extent. So it's, in that sense, vegetarianism is very practical for your own benefit in terms of these spiritual energies. There's another side to it, of course, which is animal right, and seeing animals as the sentient beings that they are. However, Benjamin Creme has also talked about a karmic debt that animals owe us for the millennia, the many great vast periods of time in which we were vulnerable to animals. And so on that level, it's not sort of immoral to be eating meat at this point, if you're looking at it in the sort of the big picture way. But over time, probably most people will become vegetarian. And when I say over time, I mean over the course of lifetimes. So not necessarily in any one given lifetime. And I think we're also seeing many young people moving towards vegetarianism. I think that's something that's
It's
much
increasing.
more common. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
right.
and we'll recognize our stewardship and taking care of the animal kingdom as well, and nurturing them. That will um, have a better understanding of our role in that sense too. So that makes sense.
Well, and Benjamin Creme has said that we will eventually we will have a telepathic communication with animals, and they already do help us in many ways. Many species of animals, horse, for example, dog, camel, elephant, help people immeasurably. But that our relationship with animals will expand in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Exciting times ahead.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I'll do the great invocation. We again, we sit comfortably, focus on the ajna center between the eyebrows. Think the word Om when your tension drops. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
And that was transmission meditation. We hope you enjoyed it and that it feels like something you would like to continue, stimulating, enlivening. And we're going to just briefly mention next week's show. Oh yeah, resources, share-international.org, the YouTube channel, Share International on YouTube, and share-ecart.com for books and downloads. And next week, we'll be back again. Sorry, not next week. In 2 weeks, we'll be back. November 13th, Encounters with Maitreya Part 2. I'll be back with Yvonne Lewis to continue what we started some weeks ago. And I'd like to thank our tech crew, Cielito Pascual in Seattle, Washington, John O'Neill in Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you, guys. We couldn't do it without you. Tim, you're muted. You're muted in Zoom. You can't unmute yourself. Okay. Here, now try.
Is that
There you
better?
are. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thanks, John and Cielito. I was just going to say thanks, Sabina, and thanks everyone for joining us.
And see you next time. Have a good weekend.